Hey, aloha everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and Stand Together Hawaii.com. This is my inner circle call, and this is about trauma. So I was contacted, was that yesterday? I don't even remember what day it is anymore, by somebody who survived the Lahaina fire, and she was dealing with a lot of trauma. And so we had a session for her to integrate it and to release it. And she said she'd been to talk therapy for 3 months and it just didn't work. She just kept crying. And I realized that we all have trauma, just being in a human body. So I want to do kind of my little spiel about this, and then I'd love to answer any questions that you guys might have if when those of you who are on live um, around this, because being in a human body, that's part of our journey. This is not an easy game we came to play at all. And it is the trauma is actually what helps us to emotionally expand, and you can call it grow. Uh, but this world is not, and this is my view. You can take it on as yourself. This is just from the years of research that I've done of what the heck is going on. This is some type of game. This is some type of I don't know, but it's I really feel it's a spiritual war. I feel that there is a good and an evil, but I also feel, and this might disturb you or not, the evil is also God, because there's nothing God is not. God is everything. And the frequency is what's different. Love is the highest love and peace are the highest frequency that we can feel that are here. And evil and darkness are low. Depression is super, super low. That's why you want to always sleep all the time, because you're depressed. There's no energy in depression. But when depressed people get angry, that gives them energy to move, because anger is a higher frequency. So everything is energy. And that means if everything is energy, that means the evil is also energy. And if everything is God, that means that God is also the evil. And it's really hard for us to, for me, when I realized this, I was like, it's really hard for me to grasp, because of the absolute atrocities that are being done to ourselves, to children around the world. And to think that that is somehow God is really hard for my brain to grasp. But when I look at this world and I realize that, Michelle, you don't really understand what this world is and how much people are moved away from nature. Where this is, when I was interviewed on the Stu Peters show last week, he asked me a question and I didn't have the answer. And he said, Michelle, he said, why are they burning the countryside in LA? He's like, there's no houses there. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, the reason is, I feel the reason is because they want to move us into the cities. But if there's already nobody there, they don't want us in nature, because nature has a really high frequency. When I walk around and I sit on the grass, it feels so good. It relaxes my nervous system. And so that is my belief of why they're doing that. Uh, One, it's to keep us out of the country, because they do want to do clustered housing and get us into the cities, more control. But also they want us out of nature. In our general plan here on Big Island, which is what I've been fighting against for probably 8 months now. It literally says, they want to turn most of the Big Island into conservation, but they also want to have nature places, or I'm sorry, natural places for nature. They want to preserve nature for nature, not for people. So that is my opinion on why they're burning the beautiful nature areas. I don't think they want us there with all the trails and with you remember the last time you got into nature and you went on a hike, were you stressed? You may have started out stressed, but by the time you were done, you were grounded. Your energy was in your heart again. And that's powerful. And that is my belief of why they're doing that there. But I do want to go back to trauma. when you have an experience, especially something as traumatic and horrific as being in Lahaina fires, LA fires, whatever the fire is or the attack is, what happens is the frequency, you go to fight or flight, and that actually creates a trauma like it's a memory pattern that holds in your body, and it's a frequency of fear and a frequency of fear that stays stuck in your body. This is PTSD. This is what soldiers go through. So what happens is something will trigger that. And for this beautiful woman who contacted me from Lahaina, she said anytime she talked about Maui, she just started crying and she couldn't stop crying. And so what I did, in fact, and we're going to do this practice together, is I had her put her hand on her heart. So let's just do this right now because we all have trauma. I do too. Oh my gosh. So a hand on your heart and then put both hands on your heart. Start with both hands on your heart because your heart was the first organ created in your mother's womb. Your heart is actually connected to your higher power, some type of source of intuition. Because when you have an intuition, it's coming from your heart. Your heart has 40,000 neurites, which are very similar to neurons, and your heart can learn and remember. It learns and remembers things. So having said that, when you have a traumatic experience, the way to integrate it is to first connect with your heart. Your heart connects to this frequency, this higher power of love. So you're connecting with that, and then go ahead and close your eyes and find whatever trauma that you've been experiencing. If it's fear, for me, it's fear because people are sending me all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But I also know that this is a game, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and I'm just going to do my kuleana, which is what is mine to do, and I'm going to trust in this higher power. So for me, though, it is fear. And I put one hand, and I've had experience with the cops. That was traumatic. So when I feel that frequency of fear, I know that my frequency, I find the root of the trauma. So you feeling the trauma, find something in your life that is traumatic, that is a low frequency, like fear or sadness or shame or whatever it is, and feel that, and then find the roots. Where are the roots of that feeling? Where does it feel? Where do you feel it the most? And for me, it's right below my belly button. So I keep one hand on my heart, and I put my other hand on my where I feel the roots of fear. And for me, it's like I can even feel it shaking a little bit. It's just like, oh yeah, it's right there. So I put my one hand on my heart and one hand right on the area where the roots of that feeling are, of the trauma. And then the second very important part, and this is what starts to release it, is your breath. Because when we are stressed, we shallow breathe. We only breathe in our chest. We don't let the breath go down into our diaphragm. And so that's what the key is. So you want to do 3 to 5 deep breaths, and along with, as you breathe, you want to fully let this feeling expand in your body. And the first time I did this practice, I was like, are you crazy? I don't want to have this fear expand in my body. But that's actually what's going to have it unravel. So you put one hand on your heart, one hand on the area, and then 3 deep breaths and let it expand. Like try to expand it so it goes through your limbs. So this feeling, whatever it is, anger, fear, let it expand throughout all of your limbs of your body. You're just fully letting it be in your body. You're not trying to fix it. You're not making it right or wrong or good or bad. And you're using your breath to expand it. And for me, I can just feel the shakiness. And I'm feeling breathing all the way down into this feeling and letting it expand through my limbs. And it'll take a little bit of time. Sometimes it'll take 3 breaths, 5 breaths. Sometimes you need to breathe for a minute or two. Full deep breaths all the way down into it. And for me, I'm also feeling like I can throw up a little bit. I'm feeling this thing in my throat. And just keep breathing into it, fully letting it be part of your journey. So this is the practice that I gave to this woman in Lahaina who's dealing with her own PTSD around the Lahaina fire. And then, yeah, there it is. So now for me, I'm feeling it start to dissolve. And then you can open up your eyes again. And then the last part of this, and this will take some time to do, but the last part of this is to put both hands back on your heart and send yourself compassion. Send that part of you that experienced whatever you experienced to create this trauma, that created the trauma, compassion and understanding. Because only you really know what you've gone through. There's nobody else on the planet who really gets your life experience except for you. So it's like sending yourself compassion. It's okay that you went through this. This was a life experience. This was a life journey. There's nothing right or wrong or good or bad about this experience. It's just an experience. That's what it is. It's an experience in this game called life. And you just send yourself compassion for that. And then go ahead and relax your hands. And sometimes when I say there's nothing good or right or wrong or good or bad about the experience, people who've been raped or had murder in their family lineage, in their life, in their past, they go, Michelle, are you crazy? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being raped. And I say, that's what's really hard for us to see and to feel as a person. It's a frequency. It's an experience. Yes, there is like we want more love. We want more peace. We choose that. Because we have human hearts. I really feel that there are people in this world without a human heart. And I also feel that there are demons, low frequency beings, that's how they live their life and how they live. I really feel that. And that is an experience of the universal consciousness that is having. We are part of this universal consciousness. We are the consciousness, the consciousness of the earth. We're not separate from her. This is the last call that I did when I talked about our water. We have the same percentage of water in our body that the earth has on the planet. That's not an accident or a coincidence. That is by design because we are the consciousness. The body is the consciousness of the planet. That's why it's like it's our kuleana to take care of her. We are her. She is us. This is why when we get into nature and we sit on the ground or walk on the ground with bare feet, the frequency flows through us because we're one with it and it feels so good. So going back to that trauma of someone who's been raped or murdered, there's something that happens that changes that person's life forever that would not have changed if that experience didn't happen. And no matter how hard it is, like my father who committed suicide, my aunt who died, I was with her the last 2 weeks of her life in the hospital, when she died of cancer. Those are the traumatic things, as well as romantic relationships that were pretty horrific. And so give you an example, I had a high school boyfriend that stole money out of my bank account to pay for this girl's abortion that he cheated on me with. So that was horrific, and I can make that wrong. And also I can look at that as that was a very low frequency. I was in a low place in my life. And that also created a personality inside of me of how I became, who I became through that. So I can make it wrong. And if I make it wrong, then I don't release it from my life and from my past experience. I can't find peace in my heart. I can go, that was an experience that I had. And when I feel that, then I have peace for myself. Does that make sense? How's this coming across? Anybody want to share? Anybody who's on live with me? Is this making sense or you guys think I'm crazy?
You're far
And
from crazy.
all right, hey Ted.
Right. So, my family's got a long history of stuff, and so I've been working. Um, Unfortunately for me, I've been the test subject for many post-traumatic stress disorder programs in California. So I know pretty well what you're talking about on that. Um, Witnessed all kinds of stuff and been involved in many different projects to try and keep two universities from being destroyed, turned into a development of some kind. And so that it led to all kinds of complications. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're very right on a lot of stuff regarding the releasing the traumas, and um, I like your method very much.
Thank you. So here's what I think this game is about, you guys. I think it's about frequency. It's about, are we going to, it's like when we find peace and we find forgiveness and we use this practice to unravel the trauma and we start moving. This is why, like when I go to try to find a movie, I'm always trying to find something that isn't violent. This is why there's so much violence. They've normalized violence. They've normalized um, uh, uh, harm toward other people, especially women. And why is that? It's because women have, and you know what? I want to go back, Ted. I want to just acknowledge you. I'm realizing I didn't acknowledge what you said, and I apologize for that. Um, that journey you had, you've changed people's lives with what you've experienced. Like when you said about universities, that was a big thing that affected a lot of people. So so that's another thing too. I feel like each one of us comes in here with some type of mission that we've decided, like, yes, I feel we choose our parents, we choose the location on earth, we choose the time we're going to be born, because the stars, the zodiac, that's actually in the Bible. Like a lot of times Christian goes, oh, the zodiac's about Satan, and actually it's not. It's actually written in the Bible, and they even says in the Bible, it says the signs are written in the heavens, and that is the zodiac. And there's a reason why each um, each zodiac is a different part of the season of is part like Scorpio is for the fall. So there's a reason for that. I was born November 16th, 1972, and we're supposed to be born like a month and a half later. And my sister and I, we were twins. I thought we were going to be one big boy, but the frequency of Scorpio it was a part created part of my personality, as well as the frequency of my mother and my father and the place of birth. All of that makes a difference in who you are. And the reason I want to share this is because I really feel that each one of us has our higher self. Before we came here, people think we think we're going to live forever on this planet. And that's actually, that's part of the game. We're not supposed to live forever. So we have a short amount of time. We come in, we go out. And I feel that this is like I feel that for my own self, that I always I always was like, standing up for the underdog ever since I was little. And I just feel that that was always my mission, and truth. I always wanted to know the truth. But the location, the frequency, the zodiac sign you're born under, all of it matters. And I feel that this is some type of game of, where are we going to go with love and fear? Where are we going to go with love and fear? They want us to live in fear because we live in fear. We're easily controlled. We live in love and peace, and we know that that is our birthright. Then we don't comply, and we stand up and we speak our truth. And I feel that that's kind of the game. If the more of us could live in love and confidence and trust, that actually inspires us from our heart in spirit to take action toward what it is we came here for. And so I feel that that's why we're here. And the trauma is what also will keep us at a lower frequency. So when people do not integrate the trauma, which the practice I gave you helps to integrate it, it doesn't make it go away. So here's the other lie around healing, is that it's just going to go away. Oh, I just need to heal this part of myself and then everything will be fine. First of all, you're not going to heal. It's never going to go away. It's a part of your journey. It's a part of your body. It's a part of yourself. But what you can do is you can integrate it. You can unravel it so it doesn't take over. It doesn't you don't live from the trauma. You get to live from a choice of what you want. So when people are living from trauma, they're actually slaves to that trauma because the trauma is what's making the decisions in their life. And when you unravel it and you realize this was an experience I had on this journey, this game that I came to play, and some of it really sucked. And that's part of the game. Do not pass go, go to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200, all of that. So that's when we focus on, or not focus, but we actually practice on integrating the trauma into all that you are. So what I mean by that is just the practice you just did, you pulled it into yourself. You let it be okay. I said expand the feeling, expand the fear, let it go through your limbs. You're integrating it back into all of your body instead of it being stuck in one spot. You integrate it into your body, and you'll have to do it a few times, not a few times, but sometimes a lot of times, especially for major trauma. But what happens is when you do that, the your brain starts to be you're able to make decisions from someplace else instead of from the trauma, and that's freedom. And that's freedom. Does that make sense? Because then you're not living from your trauma because you've integrated into all of you. Now your brain goes, okay, well, what do you want to think about in this situation? So something will trigger the trauma. Like my friend who talked about Maui, when anytime she talks about Maui or Lahaina, she starts to cry. So that triggers the trauma. So I say, anytime that happens, do that practice and expand it. Let that feeling of complete sadness and terror, really, because she was literally in the fire, survived the fire. Let it expand through your body. It's gonna be scary. People don't want to do it. It's not easy. This work is not easy. Being here on this planet right now is not easy. But when you do that, and she does it now, when she talks about, or not now, but it will happen in the future. When she talks about Lahaina, she won't start crying. She'll actually be able to choose what she feels about it instead of the trauma choosing for her. Because like the soldiers that come back from war and they have trauma, and they're completely changed, that poor person, if they can integrate the trauma back into them and let that experience be part of them instead of making it wrong or trying to ignore it, because most soldiers try to ignore it. And when they ignore it, that's when they lash out and be abusive to other people because their own trauma is not integrated back into their heart, back into to all of their body. So they're trying to find peace through, and it comes through abusing other people to try to find their own inner peace, which they'll never have unless they fully accept what happened in the battlefield. And it's really hard to do because it's really that stuff is really horrific. Ted, was there anything else you wanted to say? I felt
Oh,
I
wow.
interrupted you.
No, you didn't interrupt me at all. It was
Okay.
good. You're seeing that there's thoughts going through my head. Um, there is a military intelligence officer I got to meet when I was in my 20s, and he said the best way that he found to mitigate the trauma or anything in his life, he said, "Can I fix it? Can I change it, or do I just leave it?" And so he came up with all these different methods of, if I leave it, what does that mean? Does that mean that I just leave it alone, or do I leave it as in I just cast it out of my life? Can I change it? Well, if I'm going to change it, what am I going to change it into? What am I going to change about myself, or what am I going to change about the situation? And can I fix the broken items? Can I repair the broken items? And what is that going to look like? And so that was his methodology because he was an engineer. So he was the only person in the state of California that had a Corvette when he was in high school, or no, junior college. He was being trained for to go into engineering for the one of the weapons manufacturers. And there's records of CHP records chasing him over 100 miles. And, Corvettes don't really get that great of a gas mileage. Well, what he had done is he created a vaporized system for the gasoline so that when the gasoline burned, it didn't burn the liquid form, it burned the vapor form. So he was getting over 250 miles on the vehicle. And he was doing, 80, 90, 110 miles an hour back in the late 60s, early 70s. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he served in Nam. And so he got to experience quite a bit. But yeah, I got to meet him. And so his vapor system is now being used by BMW motorcycles. And that wasn't something that he sold off willingly. He wasn't really given a choice on the matter. But yeah, he was the owner of the little kit to be able to do that.
And how's he doing with his trauma?
Um, the last I spoke to him was 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. And he's integrated it really well in his life. He doesn't really suffer the PTSDs anymore. It's been quite a while, but he utilized traveling in a motorhome and a trailer. If it wasn't a motorhome, then it was his trailer. If it wasn't his trailer, then it was his motorhome, because he would have a van dragging his trailer everywhere. And so he went through the Sierra Nevadas and was replanting seeds, working with the forest department. Uh, he and I got to assist a mama bear and her cub one time. Uh, that's a long story in itself. But so he was doing everything he could
Mhm.
to make amends in
And
his
he
own
got in
way.
nature, and he got in
Hmm.
nature, which is really, really healing. That's, it's a high frequency. And even I see the word healing because there's nothing to fix about it. You can't fix it. You can't ignore it. You can't change it. It is an integration. And when
Hmm.
you do that, that's where you find peace. Yeah. Thank you, Ted.
Yep.
So that's what I wanted to share today. There's a lot that's happening in the world, and there is each one of us, each one of you, you have a frequency that matters. And that's the other thing too, is we have been programmed to think we don't matter. Each one of us, you walk into a room, it changes the frequency of the room. That you just walking in, you don't have to say a word, just your frequency, it matters. Every single person matters so much on this planet that the people who die and who the ones that are coming in change the frequency of the planet. So that would be my practice for you guys if you want to take it on, is one, this trauma work when you feel it, but also mirror work. And one of these days I'm going to do another workshop around this. But mirror work is standing in front of the mirror and looking at things that you like about yourself. And this is really hard, especially for women, because the most women I've gone into, when I go to public bathrooms, I notice a lot of women don't even look in the mirror. They won't even look at themselves. And so that is it's practice. Look in the mirror and look at something you like, and it sounds cheesy, but and say you're okay just the way you are, or something kind to yourself. I love you. I really appreciate all that you've done in this world. I really, something kind to yourself in the mirror. Just one word, one sentence to yourself, even if it's just in your head and not out loud, but out loud is actually even better. So I invite you guys to take that practice on for this week, is mirror practice, and then the integrating the trauma, and you can do it anywhere. You can do that practice anywhere. So again, when you do that practice, it's about freedom. It's about freeing your mind to think of something you want to think about instead of thinking from the trauma. That's what freedom is. people who keep having the same personality and doing the same things over and over again, they're not free when if they're doing something they don't like, if they don't like themselves, if they're not a kind person, they're not free because they're living from the trauma. When you live from freedom, it's integrating the trauma and you get to choose how you feel. You get to choose. And I'm not always perfect at this. I get triggered and I just start speaking, my mouth just starts speaking. But what I've noticed is that because of this work, that I'm able to be more kind, especially to people who haven't harmed me. Because sometimes I was so angry with the COVID. I was so mad. And I realized that these people, they're afraid. They're afraid for their life and they're afraid for their family. And I can respect that. I can respect that. They don't understand what's going on, but I can respect the fear and the love that they have for their family and their friends. So that helped me to calm down. So I'll just say that. Anybody else who wants to share any questions, anything you want to share about this conversation, and then we'll do a meditation prayer. Jan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I came on this call because my hometown is Pacific Palisades, and I watched my entire childhood history. My parents lived there for 70 years, be destroyed like right in front of my, I'm in Colorado, but that's the most traumatic. I mean, just it was so traumatic for me. I don't know how to get over it, frankly. So many family and friends all displaced, and I mean, they burned. It wasn't just land. I mean, that's one of the most beautiful places on earth, and it was a
Hmm.
wonderful place to grow up. And all the landmarks I knew that had been there, maybe 100 years. So, I mean, just gone. I mean, just vaporized. So I'm going to have to do that little um, what meditation or whatever you want to call it a lot,
Hmm.
I think, because it sent me back to childhood trauma too. Because
Hmm.
when you're a kid and you have an abusive father and they just take stuff away from you, they do whatever they want, they just push you around, and it made me feel absolutely helpless. And it's sent me back to that, which was something I didn't know I hadn't gotten over. So it's, in a way, the fire was a revelation,
Hmm.
but it's the most horrific thing I've ever seen, frankly.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing left there. Well, our old property is still there, but 3 blocks away, everything else is gone. Absolutely everything in the town.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm very sorry. I'm very
it's,
sorry that you experienced
yeah.
that.
And I have your Maui book. So I know that was an engineered thing. I know they want the land. I know it's the 2030 agenda. And they're so psychopathic. They just take whatever they want. They don't care. 10, $20 million houses, all the people, not a lot of people died, but they can't go back because there's so many regulations in California. You can't go rebuild. You can't even get a permit. You can't.
That's right.
It's just like the Maui thing, only it's huge. I mean, it's huge. Anyway, that's my little rant.
No, thank you, Jan. And
So,
I just want to acknowledge you, that, yeah, and it's, I'm so sorry that you experienced that. And the first thing when this happens, this practice is for when you're feeling angry, like I would be so mad. And so I would highly recommend that you go out in the backyard and you take rocks or you take socks or something and you throw them as hard as you can and you scream at the top of your lungs because that's actually the first thing that you want to do. I didn't mention that because this is usually something afterwards. But the emotion needs to come out as well.
mhm.
So it's okay to be mad. I'm pissed and I never even, it wasn't my house. So I can't
No,
imagine.
first it was just horrifying. And then there's a lot of grief, obviously. And yeah, and I'm really mad about it too, but what do you do about it? How do you fight these people? I mean, I grew up with a lot of people like that because they tend to be out there in Los Angeles, a lot of them. And
Hmm. Yeah.
it's
So
hard to just be accepting.
No,
I
yes,
like
I
that.
agree. No, I agree. Absolutely. And this is also, it's not about being accepting of what happened, because what happened and the murder and the attacks are not okay. This is not okay. And that's why I'm always like, what actions can we take? Because that is something that is our kuleana. Why we're here. Each one of us are here for a certain reason. I don't know if we can stop these attacks. I honestly, they've been, I truly feel that, I don't know if you saw my last video, but I feel that this is coming from Rome. I don't think Rome died. I think Rome and the Catholic Church are behind all of it. And it's for bringing people back under control under the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church was in charge for thousands of years. You know, Rome was 2,300 years ago, and then the Catholic Church was created 1,600 years ago, and they've been in charge up until the Protestant Reformation, which was having people learn that they don't have to go through a priest to get to God. So that's what changed, and then there's a whole thing. But if you saw the video, but no, it's okay to be mad. If you just had trauma, then that's the emotion. You got to feel that emotion. You got to feel that anger. And that's why I said get in the backyard, scream, cry, let yourself feel it. And then when you're going to be tired, what's going to happen is you're going to get really tired because that energy is going to be expended. You're going to expend a lot of energy, and then you're going to get tired, and let yourself go and rest and take a break and find some type of a safe place where you can just lay down, and then you do that practice. And then you do that
Okay.
practice. But it's not about ignoring it and making it go. It's okay. What
No, yeah,
happened in
yeah.
our brains and our this I really feel, you guys, and I hate to say this, but I really feel that we knew that this was going to happen before we came here. In this human body, we don't understand because we're just living our lives and we have these houses and these families, and all of a sudden we get attacked, and it's like, what's going on? But I really feel because before we came, we're light. If you take your cell and you look at it from the most strongest microscope, all you're going to see at the very, very past the atoms, past the protons, past the quarks, and even past the Plancks, which is the smallest scale that I believe they can find. Even past that, it's light. That's all we are.
Yeah.
And so I feel that that's why I think this is a game. We don't understand this world. And I do feel that there is an evilness here, and that is freaking so evil. So I do hope that you do that. I hope you go in the backyard and cry and scream and do what it needs to do. That'll feel better.
Just to
That'll
get
feel
it
better
out. Yeah,
first.
because
That'll
the
feel better
tendency
first.
is to try and ignore it, but I can't ignore this. It was so overwhelming. I mean, I had the worst panic attack I've ever had. It lasted well over a week.
Yeah,
And
and it's because the trauma is still there, and it's not, and you're not letting it out. You're not experiencing it. That's part of being human. They want to take away our feelings with putting chips into our brain and all
right.
this stuff. And these beautiful children who go, "Oh yeah, I want to have a chip in my brain because then I can play this game on my computer and not have to use my hands." I'm like, you don't know what that's taking away your humanness. It's taking away you're being human. And so it's important to feel, is what my point is.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you
sharing.
very much. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I don't know how we can stop this other than divine intervention. That's why I pray the way I pray. Because let me tell you something, the Catholic Church, the Jesuits who were created by the Catholic Church, that they literally infiltrated all of these monarchs back in starting from the 1550s all the way to 1773, and they were infiltrating these kingdoms to again get them back under the Pope. And so what happened in 1773, they actually got booted, these Jesuits. And what happened in 1776? The United States of America declared its independence. I don't think that would have happened had these Jesuits not been out of power. And they were only out of power for, I think it was 16 or 17 years, maybe 20 years. Look at the dates again. But that's a divine intervention. That's divine. That's divine intervention to have the United States be free because of this evilness wasn't able to stop it. And I think we need another divine intervention. And I don't know
Oh, I
how.
agree.
I don't know how it's going to happen because I'm like, I was talking to a Navy SEAL who I'm going to interview on Tuesday, and I was telling him, I was like, where are the Navy SEALs? Where's the Army? How are we going to stop these attacks? So I get to have his answer on Tuesday because I don't know. And I feel that, I mean, people believe in Trump and he's obviously the better candidate for president 100%. But but the Rothschilds, I know that they say when people want a hero, we will give them one. And I'm just really kind of concerned that he is going to, even though he said he's not going to bring in central bank digital currency, I am concerned about the that the digital currency being under the control. And
Oh
so
yeah,
we'll
they want
see.
complete control.
We'll see what
I mean,
happens.
that's the end game with the Internet of Bodies and all of that stuff. They want to
Yeah.
just suck the energy out of us and use it.
Yeah.
That's, that's how
Yeah.
you work your iPad, the touch things. They're taking the energy out of you to run when you touch it, your energy goes in there and powers that thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't use
So
Wi-Fi or anything like that, but most
yeah,
people
I'm
don't
actually
pay any
connected,
attention
yeah,
to that.
by a cord. But so that's my message for today. And yes, if you've gone through the fires, if you have had, some type of major trauma in your life, you can't just do that practice I gave you and have everything be okay. You have to feel it. You have to scream. You have to cry. Um, you know, uh, yeah, that's the first part because you're human. You have feelings and they matter. They all matter. Your feelings matter. So feel them. Then after you felt them, there's going to be a time when you get really tired, sleep. And then after that, you can do this practice when you're a little bit more tired and you're just like, this is part of my human journey. And the last piece of that is to trust. Trust this higher power. We've forgotten God. People have forgotten God. And I know people always say every time I do my prayers and then somebody comments, Amen, in the name of Jesus Christ, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Whatever you want to believe God to be. And I'm not going to go into a debate about that one. But the frequency of love is what I pray to, the frequency of infinite intelligence. How in the world are these trees growing behind me? How is my heart beating without me being like something? There's a consciousness that's always around. It's in the field. This is not empty. This is a frequency, and it's a conscious frequency. So let's go ahead and pray, you guys. Infinite Creator, this is a really heavy time. I know that we each chose to be here, and I just want to honor and all the people who are live here and those who are watching on the video, their journey, their choice to be here. What courageous souls, what courageous entities, what courageous light beings to come here at this time in this game called being on earth, living in a human body. And Great Spirit, we just know that there is very much evil in this planet. There's a very low, low frequency. And we call forth the light and love. It's also here because there's a lot more of it. There's a lot more love than darkness. It just hasn't been the focus. So, Great Spirit, we focus on it now. We send so much courage to those people who've had their homes attacked on all places on the earth, LA, Palisades, East Palestine in Ohio, North Carolina, all places, Brazil, Portugal, so many places on the planet, Great Spirit. We just send some inner strength and a spark of hope that things can get better. And also the acknowledgement that these feelings of anger need to be felt. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to cry. It's okay to throw something. It's okay to experiencing that fully, those feelings fully, and just let them out. And we just honor these people, these souls that chose to go through those experiences, what courageous souls they are. And we know that each one of them is being guided to something better that will give them even more inner strength, that their journey is not in vain, Great Spirit. We call forth the angels that are with all of us, the legions and legions, because we do believe this world is and can be a better place for all people, because all people matter. Every single person on the planet makes a difference, makes this world a better place, Great Spirit. We feel the frequency of love for all people. And Great Spirit, we just call in right now the support that anybody right now needs. We know that that is here. We bind those people who do not value human life, who do not value freedom, who do not value people's property. We bind them with the frequency of light and of love, that they can do no more harm. And we call forth the courage of truth, those who are willing to see what is really going on. We totally honor them, Great Spirit, and knowing that they are always guided by you, the infinite source of love. We know that that is done as well. We call that forth, and we get to watch this show as we all step out of the way of harm. We trust in you, Great Spirit. We return back to a relationship with you, trusting in you, knowing we are never, ever, ever alone. And so it is. So sending you guys so much love. This is on my inner circle. If you want to join the inner circle, all these recordings, or you can go to blossominnerwellness.com. If you're not a private member, please join the private membership first, then click on more programs. You can join the inner circle. I also have a shop that I just created with mugs and t-shirts and stuff. If you want to get a t-shirt that says Blossom Inner Wellness, when all else fails, go within, that's available, and that supports the work that I do. And also shout out to the aceofcoins.com. If you have any tax issues, want to lower your taxes, want to license your own biometric face, it's being used all over the place. Ace of Coins with John J. Singleton helps you do that. And a shout out to the Voice of Kona Radio, 100.5 FM. I love all of you guys who are listening on the islands, on Big Island. And I love it when you say aloha when you see me out. It's just a real honor. So, all right. And you guys live and with me today, thank you for joining me. I'm going to do this on Sundays. It just feels right. Sundays at 8:30 Hawaiian Standard Time. So just put that in your phone. Those of you who join the private membership, you come on for free, and it's a free thing to join. You don't have to pay. It's just my gift to you to support, because we all need support right now. All right, you guys, much love and aloha.